There's not one day that goes by that I don't think about Om and how loving he was.
This is Leah Moses.
He was incredibly kind.
Speaking about her 16-year-old son, Om.
We were so close. You know, we had a custody evaluation that had just come out that the kids were going to be able to be with me full time, and then he was gone.
It was Mother's Day weekend last year that Moses got the news no parent ever wants to receive. Salt Lake City police found Om and his father, 49-year-old Parth Gandhi, dead inside this office complex. It was determined that Gandhi, a local neuropsychologist, killed his son before ultimately taking his own life. Court records that date back about 15 years showed a lengthy custody battle beginning when Moses filed for divorce in 2009. While that was finalized in 2014, the fight over custody continued for years.
I really believe that if the statutes were stronger and if they were followed the way that they should be followed, that Om would be standing here with me right now.
Now Moses is working with lawmakers on House Bill 272, known as Ohm's Law.
When he was really young, about 5 years old, was the first time he asked me, when do the kids get a chance to talk? And I feel like now this bill in some ways is a way that he can actually speak out.
On Thursday, Moses told Fox 13 News there are 4 parts to this legislation. That includes limiting expert testimony in family court to qualified and credentialed professionals and implementing guidance and limits on family court's use of reunification treatment.
But I think the most important part is the increased training for judicial personnel so that people who are involved in the court system, the decision makers, have a better understanding of what domestic violence is and what coercive control is, how to really identify safe parents.
So the bill gives some additional directions to the court that they must consider the child's safety before trying to resolve other problems.
Representative Paul Cutler is the bill's sponsor. He says they use the Keeping Children Safe from Family Violence Act, or Caden's Law, as a reference point for this bill.
What we've done is focused on Utah and how we adapt best practices from other parts of the country to make our Utah courts better and provide improved safety for our kids.
While there is still plenty of pain for Moses nearly 9 months after her son was killed, she says she's grateful for the support she has received in trying to make this legislation happen.
I can't think of anything actually more that could honor Om more than to have his name on something that would help protect children.
Well, House Bill 272 was originally set to be heard in the House Judiciary Committee on Friday. However, that hearing was postponed. Representative Cutler tells me it is now scheduled to be heard next Thursday, February 8th. On the Hill, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
My 16-year-old son, Om, was murdered by his father on Mother's Day weekend during court-ordered parent time.
Leah Moses providing heartbreaking and chilling details of her son Om Gandhi's murder.
Om was brutally shot twice in the back and once in his face by a .45 caliber handgun bought from a pawn shop on the same state street in Salt Lake City as the courthouse where I fought in family court for 14 years.
Court records dating back to 2009 showed a lengthy custody battle that began when Moses filed for divorce. That divorce would be finalized in 2014, but the fight over custody continued for years, up until Om's death.
Throughout litigation, he asked me when the court would allow him to speak.
House Bill 272, known as Ohm's Law, is a way Moses hopes to give her son a voice. The legislation would focus on amendments related to child custody proceedings, putting the focus of the child's safety first. The bill limits expert testimony in family court to qualified and credentialed professionals and implements guidance and limits on family court's use of reunification treatment.
This legislation that requires that the courts consider domestic violence and abuse is really important to me.
Shani Hunter, like Moses, detailed abuse she and her son suffered for years.
It's an ongoing series of incidences, and they've resulted in harm to my children.
Others also speaking out in support and against this bill.
Our concern here is that this is an abrogation of state authority to the U.S. Department of Justice to intervene in the education of judges.
Ultimately, the entire House Judiciary Committee voting in favor of Ohm's Law.
Mrs. Moses, you did everything right, and the system failed you.
As the legislation moves forward, Representative Paul Cutler, the bill's sponsor, says it prioritizes safety above anything else.
We just tried to make a responsible choice about what is the absolute priority, and the absolute priority is the safety of our children.
I'm just so happy we moved the needle. Like, it's really moved, and it's moving in the direction of kids. And that's the most important thing to me.
Well, after passing through committee on Thursday, this bill is now headed to the full House for a vote. On the Hill, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.